here's what I got. What I finally realized is that my basic anarcho-capitalist principle of like non-aggression, mine, but the anarcho-capitalist principle of non-aggression in Western culture, it has been kind of a given that we accept that moral principle in every single instance except the state. Which is why, like, me and other libertarians, we spend all our time like, fuck the state. But in these other places, it's like right now, like here, I would just be like, kind of like, well, you know, the government can like kidnap and beat you if you don't say the right thing that they want you to say. Like, do you think that's morally acceptable? Could I do that?
Right.
And people will be like, well, no, you couldn't do that. But over there, they're just like, yeah, you can do that. They're like, you can be a government. If like someone,
Yeah,
like
the end zones have moved so far that it's such a, like, you'd still have your same principles. That's why I like libertarians, because it's like, you can apply those in both scenarios and still function like as yourself. Because you're like, yeah, here I'm way more scared of machetes, and over there, you know, it's this issue. It's like, but it's still the same attack of like that quote I was telling you last night that I thought I came up with, but I think it might be Ayn Rand. But the most vulnerable minority is the individual. So it's like, if you're always protecting the rights of the individual, you can do that in a totalitarian theocracy or just kind of shitty America right now that's still way better than that, but it's still the same fight to just protect the individual's rights.
That's right. It's the same exact thing. It's the idea that you have your rights and your right to life and your own yourself, but you start to realize that, again, when Tom Woods said this, it really hit me, because, you know, that the most libertarian guy you can imagine, and he just said, look, I got to be honest, what, as an academic, if you were going to go like, what's a threat to free speech? I mean, is it right now, is it really the state? Like, I don't feel much of a threat that the federal government's actually going to come in and lock me up. But I will, you know, some professor will just get fired because all of these social justice warriors and people like that will shame. Right.
It's public shaming. It's right out of Game of Thrones. They might as well have a bell and some shit. You know, it's like shame. Like, it is. And like, because people react, because when we're monkeys, you know, if you were an outcast, you're like dead. So like, you're constantly scared of this social hierarchy. If you get pushed too far down, you get so nervous where you're like, no, I'll agree with Lena Dunham. What did she say? This, you know?
Right.
And I can't do it, man. I just like, that doesn't work for me, because it's just, it causes so much depression because of cognitive dissonance. Like, even like, I'm sure 20% of my opinions right now are viciously wrong, but I'm not lying about them. And I'm trying to make them better, you know? Oh, and another thing that it's like the context of it, like with Israel versus Pakistan. I do a bit now about trying to understand, like, to be a little easier on the history, where I'm like, imagine if you're Columbus and you're coming across the ocean and they didn't drink water. They didn't drink water till like 1990. So it's just warm rum, just barrels of warm rum. And you're on a ship and you're like working hard and sweating. It's like rum. And then you wake up with the worst, like, dark liquor hangover imaginable. And you're like, oh God, what should I drink? They're like, rum. And you do that every day for like months. And then you get off your ship that hungover, that like dehydrate. What's the first thing you're going to do? Kill the natives. You know, I'm like, I've yelled at a maid after like too much IPA.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, think about, you know, and then like thinking about how everyone was so hammered throughout all of history. It's like if you think about what life was like, if you're just wasted, it's like, let's just not pay these dudes. Slavery.
You were like your wife, like your chick was someone who had like never like owned a toothbrush or a fucking, you know what I mean? Like your wife was so like, you were just like, everything was just gross and sucked.
Dude,
like,
I do
like,
a song called The Summer of 1869 instead of, it's like, I made my first real black friend. It's like, we were working in a mine. He was cool, but I think he gave me typhoid. Was the summer of 1860. That's me and the dudes from church. Got the flu, so most of us died. I needed milk, so I took my cart 100 miles. It was a very bumpy ride, yeah. And that's like, when I look back now, the Civil War seemed to last forever. It's like, we weren't given a choice. They made me fucking kill my brother. But those were the best. It's like reminiscing is new.
Yeah, dude.
The concept of reminiscing is like 40 years old.
And here's what's crazy, right? We are so removed from the pain that all of humans felt for all of time.
Yeah.
And that so many of the world still lives with. Like, that's so weird that we're so removed from this fucking feeling, and then we get to live these lives.